All right, it is 3 o'clock, so we will go ahead and get started. Call the meeting to order. Before I do that, I'd like to get the clerk to call the roll.
Lieutenant Governor Ainsworth, Commissioner Boswell,
Present.
Commissioner Brown, Ms. Camp, Senator Figures, Dr. Godfrey,
Here.
Ms. Hales, Representative Hall, Ms. Linville, Director Longshore,
Present.
Mr. Lowhorn,
Here.
Ms. Matthew, Judge Mobley,
Here.
Representative Shedd,
Here.
Deputy Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Senator Smitherman, Senator Stutz, Ms. Tesmer, Judge Williams. We have a quorum. Yeah.
All right, we have a quorum present, and Senator Smitherman, good to see you virtually as well. So appreciate you joining. Yeah, good deal. Well, hey, appreciate you being engaged, and want to thank everybody on this committee for caring enough about our state, for caring enough about seniors, for caring enough about children to be involved. So thank you for that. I know a lot of people have traveled, a long way to be a part of this. So thank you. But I think if you think about this, grandparents certainly, I think back to a lot of good memories, right? And grandparents, and certainly they play an important role, not only with grandchildren, but from what I've learned in conversations with different people, also. Having to sometimes raise their children's children, right? And so I think when you look at that, this committee is going to do important work. And I appreciate the legislature making this a priority. And I also want to thank everybody in this group. So the first order of business, the reason I'm here presiding is for y'all to elect a chair. So I'll take any nominations for a chair.
I'd like to nominate Representative Randall Shedd.
Okay, got a nomination for Randall Shedd. Who's second? Okay, Joe Godfrey second. Any other nominations? Okay. All those in favor of Representative Shedd being chairman, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, well, Chairman Shedd, congratulations. I will turn it over to you, and you can run the rest of the meeting and handle elections. So thank you all for being involved.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Ainsworth, and you and your staff. I appreciate your work that you've done on this, and it is very important, particularly in the age that we live today. Appreciate your work on it. Catherine Gale Fuller, thank you from the Lieutenant Governor's office that has done a lot of work in preparation for this, and thank you so much. So, and Erica Hammonds, my clerk in the House. Thank you for your work. And the next item of business that we need to take up is to elect a vice chair of the committee, and I'd like to nominate Senator Smitherman. And I have a second. Discussion, anyone else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Senator Smitherman, we'll send you a lot of work. Well, we know you're very passionate about this issue, as all of us are here today, are very passionate about the issue. And for the commission members, I retired from senior services in my county. We have Ms. Brown, Commissioner Brown, here today on the commission with us, and it was the most rewarding work that I have ever experienced, working as director of Coleman County Commission on Aging. But I wore out, so, but it was very rewarding work. So what we would like to do, the act that we passed allowed us to add any new members that we may have not realized we needed on the commission. I'd like for us to consider two for adding to the commission if there's no objection, and we'll have a motion in a second in a moment if someone's willing to do it. First, I've learned that some of the what we're trying to accomplish, as everybody knows on this commission, is we want to find out what the obstacles are for both the children and the grandparents who are raising the grandchildren. We want to know what the obstacles are and seeing if there are ways that we as a commission can remove as many of those obstacles and be as helpful as we can. So one thing that was pretty evident to me and that was brought to my attention is some of the disadvantage, I won't call it disadvantage, is obstacle that is often is in the school system. The situation that grandparents are dealing with getting children in school and dealing with the issues in the school system in that regard. So I would like for us to add the state superintendent of education or his or her designee to the commission, if you would consider that. And the second is and this was an oversight in the act, I think, and I take responsibility for that. But the chair of the House Children and Senior Advocacy Committee, whoever he or she is, I'd like for us to consider, consider that as well. I think that's two areas that would be helpful to us as we work and move forward. So,
before we move on, who made the motion to make sure the chairman and the second? You did, right?
And I seconded.
Kim Boswell
Joe
and
Godfrey second.
thank you.
and you got Senator Smitherman's.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. So is there would I hear a motion to add those two to the commission?
The chair move that we accept the recommendation from the chair as it relates to the addition of the state superintendent of education and the chair of the Children's and Senior Advocacy, House Senior Advocacy Committee. Is that both houses?
Just houses. Mm-hmm. Have a motion, Keith Lohorn, and Representative Hall made the motion. Any discussions now? We'll open up for discussion. We're a working group and we welcome all ideas and thoughts, so. Okay. Any discussion? If all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, good deal. So at this time, let's go around the room and introduce ourselves and tell a little bit about what anything you want to address on today, and we can come back further if we have to, if we need to. Let's start. Senator Smitherman, would you like to say anything further? We're going to go around. We have a roundtable discussion going now. So we lost him.
You got me.
All right.
I just hit the wrong button. I'll get you back my picture. But no, I just look forward to working with you and doing whatever it is that we need to do to try to make life better for these grandparents and take care of these kids. Okay.
Well, I know you'll be a great asset to this commission, and I thank you for your willingness to serve.
Yeah, I just whatever I can do to help in that regard, I'll be glad to do it.
We'll be in touch, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Brown, if you'll start then with those of us at the table.
Thank you, Representative.
And let me say, I'm sorry. There's two things. One thing we need to turn on, and one thing we need to turn off. We need to turn on our microphones when we speak because we are being streamed. And second thing, we need to turn off our cell phones. So that's two things, housekeeping things that I forgot to mention. I'm sorry, Commissioner. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no problem. My green light is on, so I think I'm good.
You are.
But I am Jean Brown. I'm the commissioner at the Alabama Department of Senior Services, and I was happy to be able to pass out a guide and a roadmap for grandparents and older relative caregivers, because of course it's not always the grandparents. It could be an aunt, uncle, any kind of family caregiver. And we spent a very long time compiling this, and the credit goes to Tracy Dunklin in our office. And we're already looking to update. You'll see it's about to be 2 years old. And so we will be reviewing it for any updates. And then I was also happy to pass out the grand facts that I believe we got from Mr. Keith. Mr. Keith, so thank you so much. But my personal opinion is that these grandparent and family caregivers are saints. because most of them never thought in their golden years they would be caring for young children, and everything that entails, such as more living space, bigger food and household budgets, becoming familiar with social media. I mean, imagine what a challenge that can be and all the mental health issues that presents. I won't go on too long, but this is something we're very passionate about at Senior Services, is providing help in any way we can for these saints. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And Commissioner Brown, as everyone on the commission may know, is the cabinet member for Governor Ivey, is the commissioner for the Department of Senior Services.
Yes, sir.
Representative Laura Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. My name is Laura Hall. I represent House District 19, and I am the grandmother of 4. But one of those 4, my grandson, I had the privilege of raising. I didn't consider it a privilege at the time, since he was only 6 months old. And now he is 31. He has a real job, paying for his own things, and I hope eventually he's out of Nana's pocket. But I am honored to serve on this committee, and realizing the other side of that, I just spoke to a granddaughter of a grandmother that I've been working with over the past 30 years. The grandmother now is in early stages of Alzheimer's. And how, my feeling was how neat it is that that granddaughter, one of those 8 children that she took care of, that granddaughter is now in charge of her. Now, her grandmother doesn't feel that way because, you know, she's in early stages, but I just thought that the reward of having that kind of care as a child, and then this child being able to return that to that grandmother is heartwarming. So I look forward to us having many more stories like that. Thank you.
And I failed to mention that when we know what you represent, Representative Hall, but others we may not know who you represent, but you're appointed by, everybody is here by a specific appointment. So if you'll tell who you're representing in that regard.
Minority Leader Daniels. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Darlene Matthew. I am a grandmother raising a grandchild. I'm raising my 8-year-old grandson. We got him at 4 months old when he was abandoned by his parents, who were both addicts, and one of them for sure still is. This is our second time around because we raised a granddaughter who is now 25. And when we got her raised and graduated, then we started over with him. So different parents, but in different situations. But I'm very honored to have been appointed to this position by Governor Ivey, and I am just hoping to bring everything I can from my experience twice around and help some grandparents out there that are really struggling, need a lot of help. So.
Well, thank you for serving. We appreciate it very much and look forward to your expertise, and nothing like experience, are there, in anything?
Well, good afternoon. I'm Circuit Court Judge Calvin Williams. I'm the presiding judge of the Montgomery County Family Court here in Montgomery. I was appointed by Chief Justice Tom Parker to this, what I believe is a very worthwhile commission. As family court judge, one of my duties is to preside over what we call juvenile dependency cases, and Karen's aware of what those cases entail. And we do get a lot of grandparents seeking to have legal custody rights to their grandkids to do just the kinds of things that you mentioned, get them into school and to care for them. So we get a lot of those cases, and if DHR is not the filing party, then it's usually a grandparent that's trying to file for custody. And aside from that, in the domestic relations part, we see parents or grandparents filing for visitation rights. So we have to deal with those cases as well. So this is a worthwhile commission, and I look forward to working with you all on solutions to getting grandparents more rights and better ways to care for their grandkids. I happen to be a grandfather of a 4-year-old. He's about to be 5, and my wife and myself, we take great care in trying to help my daughter to raise him. So I know the importance of the role. So thank you.
Well, Judge, thank you for being here, and tell my good friend Chief Justice hello.
I'm Joe Godfrey. I retired in May of 2022 from ALCAP, Alabama Citizens Action Program. We lobbied the state legislature on behalf of churches concerning moral issues primarily related to addictive behaviors, alcohol, tobacco, gambling, marijuana, those kinds of things. But I pastored for 26 and a half years before that, and so Governor Ivey asked me to serve representing the faith community. But I have a personal stake in all of this because several years ago, about almost 10 years ago, we took in our oldest granddaughter and raised her, and then about the time she was moving out, trying to get on her own, her 2 younger siblings ended up living with us, and we had them for about 2 years until their aunt and uncle adopted them, and so that relieved us of the pressure. Interestingly, though, our oldest granddaughter, who's now 23, has come back to live with us, and she's going through, started nursing school at Jeff State and is working as an ER tech at one of the local hospitals in Birmingham. So we, we've lived it as well as trying to represent the faith community. So.
Well, thank you. You're a great addition to the.
I don't have a mic.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Kathy Camp, and I'm with Family Guidance Center of Alabama. I'm the Assistant Executive Director of all the Early Care and Education Services. I was appointed by Yolanda Adams, who is our Executive Director, and I specifically work with our Kids and Kin program. I've worked with Kids and Kin since 2004. I've been with Family Guidance Center for 24 years. And we actually provide training and education to the grandparents, aunts, and uncles who are living in or not living, but are they're working with, we work with the aunts, uncles, and grandparents who are helping to raise the relatives' children. We actually have all 67 counties of Alabama, so we're really proud of the fact that we are a statewide program. And you find that so many of these grandparents, this is more of an informal care and not a formal care because the grandparents do not have custody of the children, but they are keeping the children while the parents are working or in school or whatever. Anytime that those children, those grandchildren, and the parents of those grandparents in those homes, those are the families that we want to impact. And so it's really a good feeling to know that we can provide education, health and safety, universal precautions. I know that we teach CPR and first aid. We've had some of our grandparents who have saved lives of the grandchildren from choking, even one that saved a spouse's life from that. And also, you think about health and safety, and sometimes you think about grandparents being old. I don't feel like I'm old, and I'm a grandparent. But when I was raising my children, that it was always safe to put your infant on the belly, and now we know that back is best. So there's so many things that have changed in health and safety and child development and school readiness, and that is what we are trying to do. And we do trainings twice a month, every month in all 67 counties.
Well, thank you very much for your service on this commission.
Good afternoon. My name is Wes Mobley. I'm the district judge and juvenile judge up in Cherokee County. Been on the bench going on 8 years now, and prior to that I was in the DA's office up that way. Of course, as you can imagine, through our dependency cases, like Judge Williams said, we see many cases in which the grandparents are the only option for the child to have to step up and provide a safe and stable home for these children. Even great-grandparents we've had recently. Also, it kind of lapses over into the delinquency cases that we cover where these children are acting out and the grandparents are struggling to find resources and ways to calm down the child and to have the child, provide the child a home, but also keeping the grandparents safe as well, because some of the older children that the grandparents are raising can also pose sometimes a danger to those grandparents. So we face those issues, and you know, this is a very important commission to study what works, what doesn't, and new ideas, and the networking, hopefully, amongst all of us will help lead to better outcomes for grandparents that are in those roles. And for me being here today, I was appointed by the Attorney General, Steve Marshall.
Thank you. Appreciate you being on the commission.
I'm Kim Boswell, Commissioner of the Alabama Department of Mental Health, and a product of grandparents raising grandkids. Lived with my grandparents from the time I was born till I was about 7 years old. So I often credit them with any success I've had in life because they provided such a secure, stable environment the first 7 years. And I have 6 grandchildren. None of them are living with me right now, but that could change any moment.
Well, Commissioner, we're sure proud to have you, and I know everybody's busy, but I know this lady is very busy because I read about it and see about it all the time. So thank you for your work.
Hi, my name is Keith Lohorn. I'm with the Alabama Foster and Adoptive Parent Association, where I chair the Grandparents as Parents Committee. And I've been doing this for about the last 4 years. My wife and I are raising 2 grandchildren. One is 9 years old and one is 7 years old. They're both NAS babies or drug babies. They were born addicted. We adopted them about 5 years ago now. We finally got them after a lengthy court battle. And so I'm glad to be here. I work on the state level with the AFAPA. On the national level, I'm the grand voice for the state of Alabama for Generations United, which is the group that actually did this, and a whole lot more that they do in helping and advocating for grandparents. And last month I was appointed on the federal Grandparents as Parents Advisory Committee out of Washington. So I'll be doing that on a national level, and that's going to keep me busy, I believe. But it's good to be here. And I appreciate everybody. Everybody's got lived experience. That's where it's at. The lived experience is because it's so important for people to understand that and know what we've gone through and are going through.
Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sally Longshore, and I direct the Alabama Department of Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention, also known as Children's Trust Fund. We're celebrating 40 years of doing this positive prevention work. Recently, we awarded 201 grants for over $17 million to the state. Family Guidance Center is a proud one of our grantees, and we also fund the whole Family Resource Center network, and we see a lot and hear a lot from them, and they're working with grandparents. And certainly, we know that the heart of prevention is really providing that parental education and support. And so I am pleased and honored that Governor Ivey selected me to join this commission, and I agree with all of you. It's very timely. And I have 5 grown children and only 1 grandchild, so the rest need to get a little busy, but we're not raising Caroline just yet, so, but I'm a proud grandmama.
We're glad to have you.
Well, I'm the odd man out. Was not raised by my grandparents. I had both my parents in the house. I don't have any grandchildren. I have 2 grown children, and they'll get busy when they get ready. I'm Charlotte Tesmer. I'm the district attorney for Butler, Lowndes, and Crenshaw counties. And what I would like to see, because we are so rural that we don't have services that a lot like Montgomery or Huntsville or other places have. And our grandparents are just struggling to try to keep their kids out of juvenile court and to get them to school and just to get them in line. And so that's what I'm interested in, is the rural area.
Good. Good.
I'm Michelle Linville. I'm with Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Tennessee Valley. I'm here today because we have a state association, and I just happen to be lucky enough to be the state president of the association right now. And I think we were recommended by Sally's office to be here. But we kind of have an interesting perspective because we work with the kids, but we often see our grandparents raising those kids. That's all I got, folks.
Well, we had a conversation earlier, and I was interested in your work, and thank you for being here. And Madam DA, I was making notes when you finished up, and but I'm from a rural area as well, so I appreciate your interest in that. There is some special need situations in rural, certainly in urban as well, but so we have to keep that in mind as we move forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Karen Smith. I'm the Deputy Commissioner of Children and Family Services at the State Department of Human Resources. I am representing Commissioner Nancy Buckner on the commission. In my role at State DHR, I am the Deputy Commissioner over the Adult Protective Services as well as the Child Protective Services. So I oversee both aspects. And so I too am from a rural county. I'm from Bibb County. But I have worked in Montgomery County, so I have both the rural and urban experience. And I'm so thankful to be a part of this commission, and I look forward to the work that we're about to do, because it all goes back to the children and what's best for the children, and keeping them at home with their grandparents and relatives is what we need to do if it's safe and we're able to do that. So we need to provide support to them. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Did we get everybody? Did we miss anybody on the commission? Okay, well, good. Well, as I mentioned earlier, this is an organizational meeting, Keith Lohorn and I talked a little bit before the meeting, and I said, you know, one thing I've learned in politics, and I won't say how many years, but is not to count your chickens before they hatch. So that's a rural term. So I didn't do that, but I did prepare in case we had chickens. So for the meeting a little bit. One thing that we probably, of course, everybody would get each other's, unless there's objection from someone, each other's email, so that we can correspond back and forth as we work. And we'll try to have, one thing we'll try to do is set another meeting very soon. But one thing we probably will need to do is establish some subcommittees to work on a specific, a little more detail than all of us in one large meeting. So if you have a particular suggestion as a subcommittee, please, you'll get my email if you haven't already, and please, and it goes to my phone, so I'll get you that email because I see it 100 times a day. And so we send that information to me if you have subcommittees that you suggest that we should establish as a part of this commission, and we'll get to work on that. As you know from the act that was passed, we are to give a report on the third legislative day, if I remember correctly, which would be February 13th of 2024. So we have some work to do fairly soon, and so we will get to work now that we are organized, and we'll work through what we need to do. So Ken Lohorn, as you mentioned, as mentioned to you, is very much experienced on this issue at the national level and at the state level, but he didn't tell you he's also experienced. He's retired from the media, so I'm going to ask him, if there's not objection, I'm going to ask him to kind of be our commission spokesperson to deal with the media and do some press releases and that sort of thing for us because of his experience in that as well. So that's sort of the plan that we have for his great experience there. But hopefully we can get an email set up and maybe even a phone number hopefully set up so that people throughout the state can send their concerns or their issues they're dealing with to us, so that we will know give everybody an opportunity throughout the state to have a voice. In regards to that, we hope to have some public hearings across the state, and all of us can't attend all of those if we really do our job and have enough to have a reach across the state. So we'll work through that, and as long as we have one member of the commission or two or whatever, but we will try to work on that. And if you have thoughts and ideas about that, please email me or call me as well. I'll get everybody my cell phone number as well. So we want to be a working commission. We've got a short time to do it. But I think that once we realize what we're getting into and the things that we're working on, we always can go back on the third legislative day and ask for an extension from both the House and the Senate for us to continue work if need be. So, anyone have anything in particular that you want us to talk about other than getting organized and getting off the ground and all the things without being redundant that we've discussed? I sure am pleased with this group. It's amazing, wonderful cross-section, not only across the state. One thing that we try to do in the legislature is make sure all parts of the state are, when we have a group, we want everybody across the state, different areas of the state represented, but we also have a great cross-section of people from the various experiences on this commission, I think. So it's going to be helpful. As I've heard from people, as I remember back my work and even as a legislator, is we hear from people all the time that have issues in the school system, the courts, the opioid crisis that I know that you and the opioid commission are working hard on, and the work that's been done on that. I mean, it's just a national problem that's a lot of the reason we're dealing with. A lot of the reason that we're here today, and we all understand that. So, but maybe we can find ways that we can be helpful to proactive as well as removing obstacles. So, anyone have anything else further that you'd like for us to discuss before we want to talk about? Let me say this before you ask for that. We'll need to set our next meeting, and we can do that virtually as long as we have a quorum, and we'll get our next meeting time and all set in just a few minutes, so we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But anyone have anything you need us to talk about before we get to that and dismiss? Okay. I have looked at my calendar. As you look at yours, November 9th at 2 o'clock is a time that works great for me, but if it's not enough, there's some other dates as well. So if that's a problem for folks, we'll, okay. November, all right, November 7th. I think that's a Tuesday, if I remember. I'm doing a lot of looking at my calendar, but November 7th, you prefer 10 a.m. or 2 p.m.? 2 p.m., well, I think you probably ought to attend that. No, we want you to attend that. Yeah, we sure do. Would 10 o'clock work then? Okay for everybody? 10:30? 10:30 better? 10:30 is better, okay. So 10:30 on November 7th. And we'll let you know a place to meet, and we'll get you information about parking and all that, so when the time comes. Well, I'm excited. My, what a group that has been assembled. And I think that great things will come out of it. And the grandchildren and the grandparents and the others that are raising the children, hopefully we will come back with solutions on February 13th after we all work a little bit. But thank you for being here. I hear a motion to adjourn. I have several seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.